Welcome to Master Agent Mindset. We're here to talk with Dan French again and his adventures in prospecting. Today is going to be very, very interesting as he's approaching wave 3, where he's getting confidence and he's making things happen. So without further ado,
Hey, Dro.
what's happening?
What's up, buddy?
Nothing, brother. Just making stuff happen. How about you?
I'm trying to. I guess we're doing, right? Not trying, we're doing.
We're doing.
Right.
We're doers.
We
That's
are
us.
doers.
All
Yeah,
right.
man. What's going on?
Well, the market is kind of interesting, don't you think?
It's peculiar, you know?
Yeah.
I
How have you been seeing the market for?
I feel that the market, people very reluctant to really do anything. I don't know. To me, I've been talking to a lot of people on why they, expired, or, what are they doing with their house and what's the situation. And a lot of them are renting the house. A lot of them have an unreal expectation of what their house value is. I spoke to a lady just recently. She's like, I own 35 houses. She literally said that. And I was like, all right. And she goes, I said, well, you listed it at 390. I said, that was a few months back. I go, did you not get the offer that you wanted? It was like 130 days on the market. And I said, what was the reason you pulled it off? She's like, I wanted 390 and 390 only. And I go, okay. I go, well, at 390, we were in a declining market, 10% roughly, 10 to 12%, right? 481 down to 420. I know we're kind of coming back. The big question is, I said, so what do you want to do with your house moving forward? She's like, well, I'm going to rent it out for a year, which a lot of people are doing. Look what the market does. And then I'm going to put it back in the market. And she goes, I think I'm going to put it back at 400. And I think I understand people it's an asset to people where they want to get the most value they can. But I think there's it's unreal expectation of what's the real value of your home. Like if your value of your home, this is the way I see it, is the value of your home is dictated by what consumers or the market's willing to spend for it. Doesn't mean you aren't going to get over but if you're on 32 days and you didn't get an over list price on your house, what makes you think you're going to get an over list price moving forward?
First, she's not your typical buyer. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, seller. Wouldn't you agree?
She's not typical.
Yeah.
No.
So what you have there is an investor who was relatively born in an unrealistic market that has been inflated. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
So I have this saying on my wall in the office, and I forget the author, but it says, don't confuse luck with skill. And I've met investors, in parentheses, okay, that own several properties, and outside of the maintenance, it hasn't been them tearing down the property, building a new one, or total rehab of the property so they can flip it as an investor would. It's been, hey, I'm going to buy some property, they pick it up, and then because of this weird market that we've been living in for the last 10 years, right, that they've become an investor now. And so she's purchased a few properties with the easy money regulations that have been in play. She's been able to parlay a few houses by cashing them out, dropping the interest rate on those properties, and buying more. This is in no way a criticism of what she's done. God bless her. I hope she does well. But now that she owns these properties and she's sitting on top of this little mountain that she's created, she is being condescending, to say the least. Well, I want 390. Well, okay. Well, look, the comps are showing you that your house isn't worth 390. Well, I'm going to wait a month and I'm going to go 400. All she's doing there is, you can use any adjective you want, right? She's being whatever. And who cares? Me, I grab that lead and I put it in the circular wastebasket. Why? Because that's a high maintenance person that could end up being a nice windfall when she's panicking, right? Because the market's dumping and she doesn't want to lose a lifetime of accumulation of her assets and be in a position where the rents are going down. And now all of a sudden she may be upside down on the markets and she won't be able to afford the discrepancy between the rent roll and the cash flow. And so what would happen is she will find herself in an upside down position in the future if the market does take the dump. All right. Today we're sitting on about 44% less inventory than we were a full year ago, which means simply that sellers are in the bird's eye seat. Doesn't mean that their house is going to sell. What it does mean is that it should sell at the right price because there's a lot of demand, not necessarily the same demand there was a year ago, okay? But every day people need to buy a property. And those people are relocation, divorcees. Those people are, I could give you 100 people, right? You could give me 100 people. There's all kinds of classes that need to buy a property. Wouldn't you agree?
I would agree, yeah. I
Okay.
mean,
Now, just to finalize that point, all right, so let me go back because I'm going to delete a lot of what I just said. So there are a lot of people, Dan, that want to buy a property and need to buy a property. The people that need to buy a property because they have a 1031 exchange and they have to buy a property in they chose Nevada, for example. People that got a divorce and they want a house and not rent. People that are relocating from California, New Mexico, wherever, Arizona, coming here. They don't want to rent, they want to buy. Those are in the need category, right? Then there's the want category. People that want to buy property, right? Well, those people in the want category, they have to have a bunch of boxes checked off. One of them is, do I rent right now? And if I do, is the rent and the possible mortgage payment comparable? Is it more expensive to rent? Is it more expensive to buy? Where's the differential? What's the risk involved if I do buy because I'm buying for 30 years? What if I buy and the world goes down? Should I wait? All those questions on the want side of the equation, that's them asking those questions, right? Okay, so when that happens and the rates are higher than they were 6 months ago, we have noticed in the industry, those people decide to rent for a year. They'll see what happens after a year. Why? Because there's uncertainty. Now, if the rates were sitting at 7% for the last 3 years straight, right, then these people will think, well, that is the standardized normal rate, and then I will go ahead and buy because I'm assuming, big assumption, that the rates will be the same later on down the road. So therefore, my investment and my payment will be relatively stable. Those are the kind of questions those people are asking. Going back to this lady, she has none of those questions. Why? Because she owns property. She is not in a situation of want or need. However, where she would become that person is if she sees her little empire go crashing down. And where she thinks she's hyper rich right now because she has all these properties, they're overinflated, okay, as per my only opinion. That's what I'm thinking. And I'm thinking that because you had a low interest rate, with low interest rate created demand, and the people that bought during the low interest time, right, had a struggle to buy the property. Sellers raised the property because money was cheap. Now that money will be normal, okay, at 7.5% to 8%, then I believe, just opinion, that the property values will adjust. But I don't know when. All I can see is that we have a scenario where there's less property that's driving a normal demand right now. Mm-hmm. And so that tells me that if I get a buyer, then that buyer is going to be in a little difficulty to buy the property because there'll be a lot of competition, but in the end they will, which is good. Bonus. The seller, bonus for me, is going to sell their house at the right price very fast. So I want those listings, right? The only one that's the odd man out is the guy, gal, that decides they want to hold the property, okay, because they don't know what they're going to do. They don't have enough information, and they're sitting on a 2.5% rate, but $300,000 in equity. That guy, that gal, is in peril if the properties go down. So I anticipate, in my humblest of opinions, a bull run, okay, if the rates go down in housing. because a lot of those people want to get out then, right? Because they could turn around, do a lateral move, and buy another property and have some equity in their pocket. But I see a bear run if the rates keep going up, and if those rates keep going up and they get to the 8.5%, 9%, then you're going to have a lot of pillow talk people. And I call those honey, I looked at Zillow and it tells me our equity has gone down already $50,000. Do you remember 2009? Do you remember what happened? Yeah, dear, but I don't think it's going to happen now. Well, I don't know. We've already lost $50,000 and we only have 250 left. So we don't want to be in that position. How long is it going to take for us to save that money? Right? So going back to your initial, if I have someone that has 35 properties and they are being even a little condescending on what they think they know about real estate, I'm the expert here, not her.
Right.
She's got 35 deals. Good for her, right? But I have closed thousands of deals.
Right.
I've been involved in thousands of transactions. I've looked at thousands of appraisals, right? I've watched the markets for 28 years. So my point is there's no match for experience that she has against me. So she accumulated 35 properties. So she feels like, hey, you can't touch me, right? I've got 35 properties. I have a lot of experience. I know what I'm talking about. I'm going to go to 400. Why? Because her experience over the last 10 years over a low interest market has told her, yeah, let's parlay there. Let's just raise it. So she's been right. But when the moment that she's wrong and she doesn't play her cards right, she's losing everything, right? And she's going to be a panic seller. Her with a slew of bear market people are going to be a panic seller. So I'm going to turn it back to you and get a response of what you think.
You answered that question thoroughly. I think so. What I've been getting is a lot of people we didn't get what we wanted for the house, and I'm going to say not everybody, but most people, they listed it, they took it off the market, and I think that people there's a certain number in mind that they want. Maybe they're upside down. Maybe they bought it and they need so much money just to get out of it for whatever reason. But a lot of these people, the question is, so sir, ma'am, why did you let it, what happened? Why did it expire? Was it something that happened that because obviously if it's too high, if you want to sell, you're going to what? Lower the standard of what you want, right? Hopefully that'll be more appealing. If you really want to sell, you can sell. There's a number for everybody, I feel, right? My understanding is people have a certain number in their mind, like I am only going to sell if I get this. And if it doesn't get this is what I've been hearing, is that they didn't get the number that they wanted, that they listed it for, maybe because of sellers in previous months, previous years, getting what they wanted and above what they wanted. And so now they're looking at it going, well, I didn't get what I wanted. The market declined. We just missed the timing of it. And so now I'm asking, hey, do you want to relist? Are you planning to relist in a year? No, we're just going to hold on to it now. I'm going to take out a second on it. We're going to hold on to it. I'm probably going to rent it out. There's no reason for me to sell it anymore.
My advice and what I do in my practice, I look for low-hanging fruit. And what that means is anyone that's thinking about buying or selling a property within 60 days, those are the only people I want to deal with. People over that, there's a lot of ifs, a lot of what could happen. That doesn't mean if someone calls me up and says, look, Pedro, I want to sell my house. I need to be out by the 90th day. No, that person wants to get into contract soon within 60 days if they're going to sell within 90. So let's not confuse the issue. If I get a lead and they tell me they want to be in a house in 90 days, I'm going to take that. What I mean by that is I want someone that in 60 days is going to make a decision to sign a contract, right? Not necessarily be closed. That's what I'm looking for. So where it gets frustrating for a lot of people is going back to that lady that you had mentioned, is here this lady is stroking her ego with you. She's telling you she has all these properties and that, she's all that and 2 bags of chips or maybe 35 bags of chips, right?
Right.
So you get excited. I would get excited, right? Hey, this is, this could be a big deal. And you're automatically thinking about the commission that you can make and all that, right? Well, for me, it triggers, this lady isn't even close to ready, right? She listed the property with, quote unquote, an agent that maybe helped her over a period of years to accumulate 35 properties, yet she canceled on that potentially possible person, agent, that helped her save in her mind, $10,000 in a declining market. That's red flags to me. I'd be like, here's my card. Here's my information. It was nice talking to you. If you'd like, I can send you comps in 60 days. All right. And we can talk again. But it looks to me like you're going to wait out this market because you believe that it's going to go up. Am I right, ma'am? Yeah, that's what I think. Okay, great. Then I'll wait and I'll keep you posted. If I see the rates go down, if you don't mind, I will call you right away. I'll get you posted. Yeah, sounds good. Okay, great. She won't remember who I was in 10 minutes after that conversation. Literally. Why? Because she was stroking her ego with you, brother. And when you get people like that, you just walk away and don't waste time. Now, obviously, there will be times, and it's happened to me, where I had a lady as an example where I was prospecting and she was beyond difficult, okay? But I heard an accent and it was somewhere in Texas or Georgia. So I said to her, not that I'm an expert in accents, I'm not, but I heard it. And I said, ma'am, I'm your huckleberry. And I paused. And I could hear her mind. Just, why did he say that, right? And she goes, I love Tombstone too. I said, I figured that, ma'am. I heard your accent. All I'm telling you is, you need someone to do a job for you. I think I'm the guy, without saying much more, as no cowboy would waste their time saying more than that. Would you mind if I just stopped by your house and dropped off a packet? You look at it. If you see I'm being fair, if you like the price, let's move forward. When can you come by? When do you want me there? She says, can you come by at about 5 o'clock when my husband comes in? Yeah, but don't you normally eat about 5 or 6? Yeah. Would you like me to come a little later so you guys have your meal? She says, no, just come on by it. And thank you for asking. I'm like, okay. I show up. I give her the packet. I meet her husband. Great people. Immediately they were at ease with me. I sold 3 properties for her. Okay? All I can tell you is that there are the people that have multiple properties, but you have to find out their why first, right? And sometimes just to get the appointment, you have to listen to them. Listen to an accent. Listen to how they're talking to you. Try to figure out what this person, why they're saying what they're saying. So if I have someone telling me, I got 35 properties, I just got one, I fired the agent, she didn't want to give me my price, and you know what? If I don't get my price, I don't want nothing. If I have that kind of ego coming at me, I'm out. I'm polite, I'm nice, I'm giving the information for the alley-oop just in case, the 3-point shot from, 2 seconds, maybe I get it. But I know for a fact that lady is not working with me. She's not working with anybody. She wants to take these calls with these agents. Then she'll call whoever she's comfortable with, and she'll move forward. It probably won't be us, right? So, nice possibility, but I don't see it. Where you do want to see it, you get the person on the phone call that tells you something like this. I just got my orders. I got to get out of here. Great. When can I stop by? How about tonight? We're getting a divorce. It's almost finalized. I got a broken heart. I'm out of here. I'm sorry about what you're going through, ma'am, sir. When can I come by? I just got relocated from Nevada to Ohio, and they're going to pay for everything. Can you help us? Yes, I can. When can I come by? Right? Those are the people I'm looking for. I just had a baby, and my 2-bedroom condo is just not cutting it. Ma'am, when can I come by? We have 4 bedrooms, and my children have all finished the university, and they're all married now, and it's just me now. It's 2 stories, and I just can't get up the steps like I used to. I understand, ma'am. When can I come by? Bro, it's me, Billy. Hey, how you doing, Billy? Good, good. You know what, man? I got this big-ass ranch, and it's just too much to maintain. I'm getting older. I don't need it anymore. I just want to move closer to the city. Billy, when can I see you? When can I come by?
All right, so I got a question on it. It's all good information. My understanding is that if somebody shows a very inkling amount of, interest of working with you, right, very small, even if it's I'm thinking I'm going to go drop my information anyways, like, because they didn't say no. They didn't say, I don't want to work with you. They may have rented out the property for a year. They may have, they're just like, hey, you know what? We pulled it off the market. We don't know what we're going to do right now, but you can come drop your packet. Are you saying in that situation you don't do that? It's a waste of time.
So to understand what you're saying, if someone invites you to the property and you create a packet to drop it off, should you do that if you just get an invitation? The answer is absolutely not. What you got to do, once you set the appointment, that is just the first step, Dan. That is not even close to wasting another 2 hours of your life to get someone a packet because they just want to get your ass off the phone. The next step is, well, great, Mr. Smith, I'm there, and I'm there with bells on. But before I go, I just got to ask you a couple small questions. It's another 2 minutes. Can you give me 2 more minutes? Yeah, but make it quick because, I've got dinner on the stove. Well, do you want me to call you back, or can you give me 2 minutes? What do you want me to do? No, go ahead. All right. So before I go, I just have to ask you a couple questions. I need to understand again a little bit more with clarity. Why is it you need to sell the house? Is it to get to Florida, like you said, or is there a city in Florida that you want to get there? And is there a job waiting for you? What's going on? Yeah, I need to get to Miami. And yeah, I do have a big job over there. All right. Well, you have a job there. So tell me, when does that job start? Well, it starts in 6 months. Okay. So if it starts in 6 months, Mr. Smith, do you have to be there sold closed in 6 months? Or do you want to wait 2 or 3 months before and then sell it? What are your thoughts? No. I need to be closed in 6 months. So really, I'd say within 2 months of that, about 3 months, then I want to be there. Okay. Well, here's the thing. I'm going to drop off a packet, all right, just for you to look at it, but nothing in there is going to matter because the market could change on us. And from what I see with the interest rates, I'm thinking the market is going to go way down. So if that's the case, can you afford to lose $20,000, $30,000 in equity if that happens? Or would it be easier if we just sold your property, you moved, you did something else? Yeah. Well, that's a good question. Well, maybe is there a place I can live while this happens? Well, there may be, but see, I need to understand what your tolerances are, right? I need to understand how much equity you have right now, because if you're looking at 6 months down the road, man, lots of things can happen in 6 months. So before I waste my time, I need to see if this is a real deal. If they say 6 months relo, most people would get excited about that. I'm out the door. No, I'm like going over there, dropping off package, shaking hand, letting them know that they may want to think about closing a little sooner than that because the market could change, but I'm here when they need me. But I'm not going to put them into contract because I really can't put them into contract. There's nothing I could do. However, if they say in the script that I'm versed in to me, well, yeah, I need to be there in 3 months. That's my game. So what I'm going to do there is I'm going to say, all right, Mr. Smith, now, from what I understand, you need to be in Miami. And you need to be there in 3 months. That means close in 3 months. Yeah. That means I better take that listing when I show up, sir. So if when I get there, you like what I have to say, will you list the property with me? At that point, if he says to me, I will see, high probability, looks good, let me look at what you got, I'm going. If he says to me, you know what, I'm not listing with you, because I've got a girlfriend, best friend, buddy that's going to do it. I don't really want to waste your time. Let's just not do this. And I would say, great. Would you like me, at that point I switch it. And I said, would you like me to give you a packet so you can compare notes with the other person? No, I don't. I just don't want to waste your time. Thanks a lot, man. It was really nice talking to you. Have a great day. I just saved my 2 hours in my life at that moment.
I think for me anyways, I think the issues that I've been dealing with is that I don't feel like I've really had anybody that's had any serious, based off of our conversation today, really serious interest in selling their home. Because there's not been one time. I mean, I've called 1,700, 1,800 calls, probably, maybe 2,000. And mostly what I'm getting from people is that they want to wait. They're waiting a year. A lot of people pulled it off the market and said they're just going to hold on to the property. I don't think I've had one, maybe one, but they were in competition with like 4 other agents that stated that they wanted to sell in 60 days or 90 days. They had a need, not a want to move. And for me, I don't think I've come across anybody that said, yeah, there's a reason, like those reasons you just indicated. There's not been one reason for me to have, or that's been brought to me, because I would have said, let's have a meeting. Can I come by your house? Is that okay? May I come by and see you? I don't think there's not been one person that's given me any indication that they are serious or ready to move. And a lot of them have pulled their house off the market, like I said, not even thinking about relisting, not even thinking about even potentially putting it back on the market. They're just, I don't know if it's the market. I don't know if it's the timing of me making these calls where rates are high, so people are just like, I didn't get my price. I don't know. I haven't had anybody. Maybe one. It's one. I'll give you that one out of almost 2,000 calls that have. Now, what I usually get, drop a packet. I'm going to probably sell or I would consider selling it in a year, or I want to wait to see what the market's going to do, or yeah, I'm just busy. I don't know what I'm going to do. We're probably not going to do anything right now. Okay, sir or ma'am, can I still drop a packet to you just to kind of, in case you are going to sell, maybe you guys will think about me, or I can interview for that job. Sure, no problem. You can come by and drop it. I won't be home, so you can just leave it on the front. I mean, that to me, I guess, is all I've been getting.
Dan, I'm going to tell you a little story because I like stories. You don't mind?
Mm-hmm. Yes,
all right, here it is. I want you to look at prospecting this way. I want you to even go and buy yourself a miner's hat. Okay? You can do an old-time miner's hat, the big flappy-eared one, like this.
The miner's hat?
Or you can just buy a big hard hat like a miner, right? And I love that. I do that a lot. I have hats. I like hats. If I need a vacation, I need money for a vacation, I'll buy, the white hat like the one that's on my which way? There you go. That one?
Yeah.
That one? Okay, I have that, and I wear those when on vacation. I have a cigar, a little cognac. So what I do is I prospect for what I want. So I want you to buy a miner's hat. I know you like the helmets and hats, okay? So do I, right? And I have the Gladiator one, and I have the Raiders helmet. It's just sitting right there, right?
Yeah.
All right. So put on a miner's hat, and then I want you to remember this story. When a miner today, a traditional miner, the people that have the mining equipment, today's miner, not the miner 49er, right? Today's miner, they have to go through to get 1 ounce of gold. That's it, just 1 ounce. 2 to 91 tons of dirt to find 1 ounce of gold. Okay? Now, you are still in wave 1 where you're calling you're counting the numbers. When you're hitting wave 3, you don't care about the numbers. You track your numbers, but you don't care about them. Okay? So going back to the story. When a miner 49er went to go find his fortune, and he went out and finally finds the gold, he's left his family back at the Tennessee ranch or wherever he came from. He sold just about everything to buy all the mining equipment he needs, the survivor gear that he needs, right? And he's at his wit's end, this guy. Right? This is a true story. After all his investment, everything, he's digging on his cave that he's pretty much made, right? He's just going, man. And he finally just throws the axe down and he says, I'm done. I'm going back. So he gets out and he sees, another miner. And he says to him, you know what? He says, I'm going to sell my land. I don't know if you're interested, but I'm out. I'm going to take my losses and go. So this guy says, how much you want? He says, I don't need enough to get home. So he cuts a deal, and I can't remember exactly the amount. So we'll say back in the day where money wasn't like it is now, it actually had some value. He gives him $50. It's enough for him to get back, or $100. And he gets back to Tennessee, gets back to his ranch, faces his wife and kids, and just didn't make it, right? He's just bummed. But he had put in a good 6 to 8 months digging this hole. He saw what he saw. It just didn't make it. But he had heard where he bought his land. He had heard that was the place. That was you're there if you buy this land. But he didn't do anything else. Meanwhile, the guy that bought the land for a song, even then, he knew he was getting a good deal. He went and found the local geologist, made an appointment, paid him the fee to go look at this cave. The geologist went. He looked at the cave. Probably cost him $5-10, at the time to pay the geologist to find. The geologist went inside and he started looking around and he started noticing some really good signs. And he goes back to the guy and says, I think you have a really good find here, my man. You just got to keep going, and I think it's going to hit. I see a little bit of sign here. There's iron ore there, this and that. I see nickel, I see tin, I see this, and I see that. I think you got some here. The guy goes, great. So he goes in, and he starts digging, and he found a little small sliver, a little vein, right? And he starts going. 2 months go by. He's following this little vein. And then all of a sudden, the vein opens up. And to make a very long story short, he found one of the largest gold mines in the country in California. The guy was only 3 months away, but he gave up. Why? 3 things. 1, he didn't hire an expert to find out if the place where he was going to dig was even worth it. He just went on hearsay. People said, but he didn't hire an expert to see if where he was digging had any prospect. And 2, he didn't understand none of the signs of where he was digging to see that as he's going through the motions, as he's digging, he starts seeing the iron ore, starts seeing the gold, the tin, the copper, and all these other little signs that are there when you're what you're looking for when you're doing your search. Now, to be clear, that could be other little signs that I'm not mentioning now, but let's just use that as the example. And then once he starts seeing a little gold, where to go forward. So that's 2. But 3, he didn't have the tenacity. He didn't have the commitment. He did not set his goals properly. For him to come and sell everything he owned and work 6 months was not realistic, right? Mm-hmm. So the point is, he found, not him, but the guy that bought the property, found one of the largest gold mines because he was smart enough to get an expert to know where to dig. Okay. So you on my show, I'm going to tell you some things to look for, okay, and what to do to be able to get listings. And I'll give you 3 to make it simple, right? So here it is. 1, you go after all of the expireds every day, 20 to 30 to 100 a day that pop up, all right? Whether it's a market where 100 pops up or a market where 20 pops up, it doesn't matter where you are, what your demographic is. If something pops up on expireds, you should be one of the guys that's calling on it. 2, in your brokerage, you have people that are listing a property. What is true about a neighborhood when you start seeing signs go up?
Other people want to sell?
That's right. Usually when 1 goes up, 2 or 3 go up. Okay? Why? Because the neighbors start thinking it's maybe a good time to sell. They start asking questions. They meet professionals. They decide if they want or don't want to sell, right? So another vein of gold, not just the expireds, which is awesome. You got to do it. But then you got the just listed one, whereas you're going to call on all of the neighborhoods where any real estate agent within your brokerage closed. And you don't have to do it that way. You can actually call on any brokerage's property that they listed and say, hey, look, I noticed that Century 21 listed this property. I work at XYZ company, and we're looking to see if there's anybody else interested in selling their property. You don't have to lie. You can tell the truth. Who cares if it was Century 21, all right? Or you could just say the address. Well, ABC Street just put their property up for sale, and I want to see if you're interested or if you know someone that is interested in selling the property there. Now, how much competition do you have on those just listed, just sold?
A lot.
None.
Why?
Because no one's calling on those just listed, just sold right now. Everyone's hitting the expireds, worrying about their own sphere of influences. People are not working as hard as they used to back in the day to find listings, right? But that's going to change. There's going to be a lot of people that want to maintain their lifestyle that will be calling on the just listed, right? Then you've got the just sold. So you call up and say, hey, Remember I called you about 3 months ago, told you that this property just listed? Well, I wanted to just follow up and tell you it listed for $622,000. Thought you might want to know that. Really? Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I remember you calling me. You sent me that postcard too. Yeah, that was me. Oh, man, that's awesome. We got something to look forward to if we ever decide to sell. Well, let me ask you, have you thought about selling in the last 6 months? To be honest with you, we have. We're empty nesters, but my wife loves the house, loves the furniture, and, I don't like the bills, but,
Right.
And then what will happen there is you open a segue for a conversation. Well, I tell you what, would you like me to do a presentation? Because you have thought about it in the last 6 months. Are you interested in looking at some numbers? You know what I am. And let me talk to my wife. I'd really like to sell this place, really, because it's just too expensive. So let me talk to my wife. Well, before I go, right, then you hit that script. So at the end of the day, you've got the just listed, just sold script you can use. Just listed and then just sold.
Where do you get that list on the MLS, though, right? You have to get that on the MLS?
No. If you're going to do a just listed, just sold, you can go on Mojo, for example, and I know that's where you are, and you can get any listing, right? And you can program it to get any property, okay, that is within that neighborhood that has a phone number that's been registered in some venue, and you can call off that number. But listen, number 3. So you're calling, which is awesome. You're doing the just listed, just sold in a demographic price point that you're looking for. Mm-hmm. That's awesome. But then you pick out a neighborhood that you like, that you'd like to sell in, and you start sending postcards with your face stamped on it, right? And QR code for them to scan, and they could see other properties or phone numbers or whatever for you. And on there is a big fat property that has just listed or just sold that they can see. Keep it under 30 to 50 characters long. Something they just look at and they can toss, but they're looking at your face, they're looking at your company, they're looking at your number, right? And they may put it away because they may want to sell in the neighborhood. And since they think or they perceive you as the expert in that neighborhood, then they're going to call you. You want another story, or have I bored you to death?
No, you're good.
Stories?
I like your stories.
Okay. As you know, I have a team, okay? And about 8 years ago, I was prospecting a neighborhood, and I got a buyer. Nice neighborhood. Back in the day, it was like $400,000. Today, it's probably $800,000. It was a really nice house. And I was prospecting and talked to a guy. He says, look, he says, I do want to talk to an agent, but I want to see if I can buy a property first. Then I'm going to list it. But I want you to know something. I'm not listing it with you. There's this gal, her name is Wendy, and I won't give the last name, but her name is Wendy, and I know who she is. And she's been sending us information for the last 5 years, and it's consistent. We've gotten it every single month, and we get a newsletter. And my wife and I have decided she's the one to sell the house. And I said, sir, no problem. So let me get my my team member to talk to you. And what they're going to do is they're going to see where you want to buy, and then we're going to prospect that neighborhood to see if anyone wants to sell. Plus, we're going to send you over all the properties that are coming up on a feed so you can look at. Great. So I talked to Erin. She was on my team at the time. Erin called him and his wife. I went on the initial appointment to meet them because I was going to see if I could possibly get their house sold. I got to pack it the whole bit. So I tried to get the listing, but to no avail. The guy was very, very straight up. He says, here, thanks for the packet. I'll compare it and everything to Wendy, but I want you to know we're going with it. I go, there's no problem. All I wanted you to do is see what we have to offer. And you know what? I hear Wendy's a great agent. Good luck. So what happened, Erin took them out. They bought a property. And as soon as they bought the property, they called Wendy. Now, Wendy wasn't all too happy because she knows me. She wanted the buyer too, right? But she understood. At least she got the listing. It is what it is, right? She wasn't that upset because she got the listing. But there's a great story of how people will become endeared by someone they've never talked to. But because they've seen their face over and over again, right? They think they're the expert. And they may be the expert, okay? So do that. Number 3. So if you do that, those 3 things, your potential for more listings has gone up exponentially. But the problem that I've seen with a lot of people, and I'm not including you because you are a hard worker, is most people don't want to put in the time. What they want to do is get a quick fix. They want to try something and they want something right away with it. And that's not the game with listings. See, the game with listings is an art. You've got to be able to read the other person like a poker player would read their opponent. You've got to be able to listen to the person as a priest would listen to a confession. And you have to be able to treat the person as a spouse would treat their other spouse, right? You have to do all three of those things. You have to be so attentive, so discerning, as to the point where you're going to get an appointment and later the listing. If you do these things, you'll just open up opportunity, which is what I think you want, right?
So I think the big thing is that the direction, right? So you said a lot of different things that you would do, yet it's a lot of navigating, right? You have to carve out exactly. I don't necessarily think it's the hard work. I think it's more of the legwork to understand what you're trying to accomplish. It's not really about not understanding what a just listed or just sold is. It's going through the process of, like you said, you got to have like it's almost like a system that you take on to market these people, right? You got to go and sign up for this program. Then you got to say, okay, you got to get some type of product or paper that you're sending out, postcards, right? And then you got to consistently hit that. And then is there so many times you hit it? And you get what I'm saying? There's like a lot of information that if somebody had like a blueprint, I don't think it's the hard work. I think it's trying to understand the scope of what you're trying to do and what you're trying to convey.
It is hard work. And the problem with a lot of agents that I've seen, they don't want to do the hard work. Most people, and I've seen this a lot, most people, what they do is they'll try something for a while, and if they don't see a result, they quit. That's why the gyms in January are full. But by about June, they're half full. By November, they're empty. By January, they're full again, right? So the point is that if you don't get immediate gratification, immediate results in our culture today, then you don't do it. And nothing that I've seen that I would consider worthy is done quickly. Anything you look at, I go to watch a professional football game, and the Raiders, they're all out there, and I'm cheering. I'm cheering for a team. I'm cheering for an individual that sacrificed a lot, that worked very hard to master his craft, that has a very short lifespan. The average professional football player doesn't get past 28 years old in their craft. So they don't have a whole lot of time to make their money, right? And to be able to be that professional. We, on the other hand, can start now. And as the years roll by, if we are consistent, we will develop a fan base that will one day, if you work at it and you do it right, will produce an amazing living. Right now, because of TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, people think that, and if you're driving a Lambo, you're successful. If you own a big McMansion, you're successful. I say, if you're doing something you love to do, and you do it every day, you're successful. Regardless of the outcome, if you're happy doing it, then you're successful. If you ever watched an artist create something and you put it on, they have these, what's it called when they do those pictures? They take them every day. Then after a succession of time, you see the creation. So it's
it's kind of like a cartoon almost.
Well, it's a camera, and it's a caption camera. So they're capture. I forget that there's a name for it, but it doesn't matter. So all these pictures are happening, and then at first you see a blank canvas. Then you see a person just running around, just kind of doing their thing. You're watching, but then at the end, it took them 3 months, 5 months to create. And when they're done, you're in awe. You just can't believe how beautiful what they created. When they started, they had an idea of what they wanted to create. And then it was created, and it's beautiful. But they didn't know if someone would pay money for it, or they had ideas of what they could make, but they didn't know that they could make $100,000 on the painting, $20,000 on the painting, $1 on the painting. Who knows? But they did it because they loved it, and they enjoy their life. They're fulfilled, regardless, right? Have you ever studied art at all? Do you know that most artists died poor? Very few made money in their lifetime. So you look at this as an art with an eye in the future. You will be what you see yourself today then. But it will require you to do some amazing, hard work. And then at the end, you will produce this engine that will take you the rest of the way with very little effort. People, that if you dedicate 4 years of your life prospecting, and you do it 4 days a week, and you do it for 4 hours a day, in 4 years, you will have created this wonderful business that will, as long as you maintain it like a car or a tune-up, okay, you call on your past clients, it will be something you can sell in 20 years to an investor and be able to retire with. Or you don't, and you'll be able to work well into your future if you want to. But your work today will pay benefits, fruit, freedom in the future. But you have to put in the work today. You have to be the minor 49er. You have to be the artist. You have to provide unbelievable service. And then that will create a raving fan. And that, my friend, is what you want. You want people to think about you when they think about real estate. And when you show up at a call, you want your name, at least it would be nice if they knew who you were, but it's not a prerequisite. If you show up, you will get the business, and they definitely will know you as you move forward in their transaction.
No, I mean, I think anybody out there is looking for information. I mean, I think for me, this is a crusade from what it sounds like. This is not something that, if you go into it thinking that this is going to turn around quick, or you just have to do these things and, because it's real estate and because it's sales. I don't know. I think too, a lot of people give up because they need money and they need to pay bills and they have other obligations, and you have to be in a place, I think, where you can sustain the crusade part of it, like you said, because it's not going to happen overnight. And you're saying it's over 4 years. Well, if you're not making money in that 4 years, I mean, you probably make a little bit, but if you have a lifestyle and then you're like, I want to do real estate, that whole lifestyle is going to take a step back until you can bring it a step forward. That's the problem, I think, with people.
So I'm going to answer that and we'll wrap this up, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So here's the thing. That is true to a point. The first 3 months, don't have the expectation you're going to get a listing.
Mm-hmm.
Do it, try it. I have a rookie here. He's 20 years old, and I've been coaching him. And what I told him, don't have any expectation of anything for the first few months. He comes into my office and he says, look, it's been 2 months. You're not going to believe this, but today I went to 2 listing appointments, and it looks like I got both. I'll let you know tomorrow. So I saw him a week later, and he did. He got both listings. I was so freaking proud of that guy because he was struggling, dude. He was calling like you are. He was just like not thinking this works, right? So he got those 2. Now, I don't know how much he made, but we can just do some numbers, not being exact. So let's say they were both $400,000 deals, right? So $400,000 is $800,000, right? So let's just say that he got 3 points on each, just to make it simple. It's 2.5 average today, but let's say 3, just to make it simple math. So then you've got 3.
It's 24.
Okay, so 24,000. There you go. So he made $24,000 gross. So let's say he's on a 50% split. All right, obviously it's higher than that, but let's just say 50, right? So he made $12,000. The broker made $12,000. Let's just use that, right? Now, do you think one of the two listings maybe wanted to buy a house?
Yeah.
So let's use one. So on that one, they bought a like property. Let's say $400,000 again. What's the commission on 4? 12. So now he made 6, right? 6,000 plus. So he made 18,000 bucks. Now you take out the taxes on that. Let's call the taxes 20%, right? So 20% off 18 is what? The 18 and 18 is 32, right? So take off 32 off the 18. What do you got? So let's call it $14,800, right? So he made $14,800 at a 50% split with 3 deals. I don't know about you, but I think most people for 2 months worth of work can survive off that. Just saying, all right? So now let's use that as the expectation for the first year. So every 2 months, you're doing 2 to 3 deals. In the first year, what do you got? 3 times 4.
Yeah, it's 12.
12. You got 12 deals, right? 12, let's call it $6,000 a deal. That's 60, that's $72,000. So you got $72,000 in your pocket after paying everything, all expenses, including IRS. Not a bad way. Just saying. But it doesn't end there. See, this is why. You picked up 12 new clients. Out of the 12 clients, if you take care of those clients, they remember you, and you follow up with those clients, you'll keep 6. Let's use a 50% rule.
Yeah, use 6.
So as you go, Dan, what I'm saying is you're going to get all kinds of business, and you're going to start it here at 0. But as the business, you start doing business, your fans are going to go like this, up, 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 right? You keep up for 4 years, you're calling, and then you stop at the 4th year, and you picked up all of these raving fans. Now, let's call it 200 people. You got 200 people. Now, the 200 is going to give you about a 10 to 20% return on referrals. So let's just say you got 200 at 10%. So now you got 20 deals a year for the foreseeable future, right? So 20 deals times 6,000, which it won't be 6, it'll be more like 10. So let's just say 10. So you made $200,000 a year without prospecting for the next 10 years. I think it's a good return.
Yeah.
Just saying. So it's not like you're saying. It's not like what you're thinking. You're working your butt off, and you do have to pay your bills. But most people are working another job as they're starting the world of real estate. So you're working your other job and you're doing this, you're busting your butt on both of them, and then eventually you get to a point where you close a couple deals, then you close a couple more, and then you cut the umbilical cord, see that this is panning out, you're making money. Then all of a sudden, now the other job's gone, now you're full-time prospecting, you're rolling 4 hours a day, 4 days a week, you're going on appointments, and then next thing you know, you're closing 12 to 24 deals a year, which is a nice. Thank you for coming on Master Agent Mindset. Have a wonderful day. Dan, thank you for being on the show.
No, man, I appreciate it. I always learn every time I come here, so I appreciate you.